Nothing at all.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the stream scene. I warned you guys that was going to happen, didn't I? we are back with the stream scene. I hope you guys are having a great start to your week. We're here with streamer Q&A, so if you guys have any questions about streaming at all, feel free to throw it in chat. We will grab your questions and try to get to all of them. And other than that, we'll talk about a mixed selection of topics based on what everyone wants to talk about and just how everything flows. So first and foremost, let me welcome before I get to the guests, my co-host. Look, we had a week off, right? I'm a little rusty here.
I hear you.
The Hunter Wild. What's up, Hunter? How are we doing this week?
Really excited to not talk about DMCA stuff today.
Whoa. You can't tell them that.
We are with two incredible guests who are going to be laying their near infinite wisdom and a significant portion of their beauty and expertise on the line for us today to like dive into questions that y'all have about streaming and the industry as a whole. These are some of my absolute favorite shows to do. So without further ado, DeejayKnight and GlamShatterskull. DJ, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, I'm DeejayKnight. I'm a space, sci-fi, and variety broadcaster here on Twitch, and I do a lot of weird things. Good to meet you.
Fact.
Bam.
Hi.
What's up?
Hello, I'm GlamShatterskull. I am a streamer here on Twitch. I primarily focus on being a evil warlock from a faraway planet in space, sci-fi, and fantasy stuff. Sometimes we talk a lot about metal music, but we won't be talking about that on this stream.
And Glam came prepared with a joke that he would like to share with the class. So Glam,
Go for it.
here we go. We're listening.
No. It's a situational conversation.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
We have to set him up with a bit of an alley-oop.
Okay.
Yeah. All my humor is reactionary.
So yeah, like I said, if you guys have any questions you'd like to ask about anything related to streaming, feel free to throw it in chat. We'll do our best to answer it. Just try to keep the questions more general. We can't really help you particularly with your stream, but if you give us some details, we'll do our best. But yeah, so, first and foremost, obviously, like, there's a lot going on in the streamer space. We got, obviously, like, the DMCA is like the most recent thing. We also have, what's been happening with the Black Lives Matter movement and showcasing more Black creators in the community.
Hi, I'm a Black creator in the community.
Oh, wow. Well, there we go. So DJ, tell us a little bit about what that's been like for you, like getting all this attention and also like, how things have just like changed really in the last week.
What's the shape of it?
It has definitely been a weird week because part of it is I support all of the protesters that are out literally protesting for getting rid of police brutality. And that's the long and short of it, because that's what like the Black Lives Matter movement has been trying to tell people. They've been killing us a little bit. Can we get some help with that? And people have generally not done a whole lot about it. So the murder of George Floyd at the hands of police has been a catalyst to get way more people talking about it, more and more people interested in it. And I feel like it's very weird to me that like we've been trying to tell people, hey, the police have been killing people just unchecked. The police response to the peaceful protests has done nothing but verify the things that people have been saying about police this entire time, but nobody's been paying attention because they haven't been exactly subject to it. So It's been mind-boggling to see the police like, hey, they're talking about that we're being brutal. Okay, cool, let's be more brutal. It makes no sense to have the response that they have, but it's awesome in a way. I'm not saying that it's awesome that they're doing what they're doing. It's awesome that more people are recognizing it and seeing that anybody can get it when it comes to the police. People of all colors are at these protests. People of all colors are supporting this movement. Countries everywhere. So many countries are getting into the thick of things. Like Polynesian people were doing the haka. And I was just like, okay, they just said this was for Black Lives Matter, but like, are they really though? And then they literally panned over and the truck had a big banner on it that said Black Lives Matter. South Korea. I lived in South Korea for 8 months. and I saw a TikTok where somebody basically translated Black Lives Matter into Hangul, and it said, Black lives are precious. Black lives are to be protected. So it's like, to see the world recognize this in our government, not really. And see our president like gas civilians to go take a picture. Like it's been interesting to see this entire thing take place. But as far as how it's been on Twitch, a lot of people who have come out and stated that they have been not recognizing people of color, and wasn't even a purposeful thing at the time. It's just that they recognized that they hadn't been doing it. So a lot of people have been asking for people that are Black creators, like, hey, who knows Black creators that are in the voice spectrum? Who knows Black creators that are in hosting events? So like it's ridiculous amounts of people that are tagging me and a bunch of broadcasters that we know. Like DJ Tech Labs in there, Cup of Noodles in there, Black Oni. Like I could literally pull up the Dr. Lupo tweet, because I feel like my mentions have been a shambles of like notifications about that tweet. But it's a great thing because more people are recognizing that people of color, obviously like anybody else, can produce good content, and you just haven't seen it in reference to the people who haven't been looking for it. Because it's like your favorite TV channel, right? Like once you find a TV channel you like, you turn that channel on. For me, it was Comedy Central and like Cartoon Network. I could turn those channels on any given time of day and just let it coast. And I feel like a lot of people treat Twitch the same way. So they go to the channels they know, they look in their following. Yeah. They don't follow as many people. So, okay, cool. They're on. Cool. Let's check it out. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, it's awesome to see so many people showing up and saying, all right, cool. I support finding out about new people. I'm going to give your content a chance. And seeing so many people say, okay, this is a good time. So the follows have been immense, and it feels kind of awesome. Because like one of my favorite people, Stone Chin, who is a PR rep at Ubisoft. He is the man. I've known this man for like a decade. It felt awesome that he's like, it sucks that this is the situation that happened, but it's awesome to see DeejayKnight getting recognized for all of the work that he's been doing in the gaming industry. Because a lot of people don't know, I started a gaming news, reviews, and editorial site back in 2005. It's still up. I did it for a decade, and I was going to events for a decade before I ever started streaming. So I've been in this space for a long time. So it's awesome to see people like that who've been living it longer than I have on the professional end, also showing recognition and telling people you should be going to follow people. And it's been awesome. But it feels weird because somebody made a valid point. I feel like I'm rambling. My bad.
No, please.
Somebody made a valid point. I can't remember which one of my friends tweeted about it, but they were like, it's awesome that we're getting this recognition, but it sucks that it takes this for it to happen.
Yeah.
And the other kind of like continuation of that is like, is this a thing that's going to be a trend because we're seeing protests right now and it's just going to go away? Or are people going to suggest, all right, cool, I could do better about finding people that are outside of my own comfort zone? Is that going to be a standard, or is that going to be a commonplace thing? So there's a lot of questions that are brought up about it, in addition to all of the awesomeness that's come along with it. And that kitty looks super comfy and super soft. I have a puppers. She's down here. She's not as soft.
She always shows up around this time of day like clockwork. So
sounds about right.
But yeah, like, thank you so much for sharing. And, you know, I think you make a very valid point. Like, is this a trend, or like, you know, is this like a genuine realization that, you know, Black and marginalized groups on, you know, if we're talking specifically about Twitch, like, you know, have been underrepresented and have not been propped up by not only Twitch itself, but also other streamers, right? Like, a lot of viewers find other streamers through raids and stuff. Like, you know, it's not just up to Twitch to elevate you guys, but also like, you know, us, like when we're rating people, like, you know, we should focus on the groups that are underrepresented. And, you know, I think like with Twitch, like, you know, Black History Month, like, okay, they showcase Black creators, but like, what about like the rest of the year? Like, you know, and this goes with like women's history and LGBTQ stuff as well. Like, you can really expand on this. Like, you know, are people just doing this because like, you know, it's like the trend, or like, is there a genuine like shift in the way people view marginalized groups?
It's a great question, and I feel like it's only time will tell, really. But it's awesome to see, because I see like other people who I know who I feel like should have been partnered on Twitch ages ago, like Black Oni.
Right.
I feel like Black Oni should have been partnered on Twitch years and years ago. And the list is massive, right? Like we could all talk about somebody who we know who hasn't been partnered, who's met the numbers multiple occasions, but it's like they're not. So like it's awesome that we were getting the shine onto people who haven't necessarily been seen. And I thought one of the most awesome things that I've seen from Twitch staff is that I think it was Alley Cat tweeted out and said, "Hey, look, if you are a Black creator who doesn't have the 50 followers you need for affiliate, put your ad in here. We will follow you to make sure that you get what you need." It was amazing. It was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, and this expands outside of Twitch too, like artists and musicians and business owners and stuff like that. Like, I think it's important. Like, I mean, we're kind of straying away from like talking about streaming and answering questions. We actually do have a good one from Grid, but I think it's important that like there is a conscious effort being made to kind of recognize the creators in our space that are not represented as much, and that's like we need to see more of that, like more creators propped up in that way. I think
seizing on the momentum that we're seeing right now, like with the assumption that attention will fall away at some point, whether it's tomorrow or next month or next year, kind of capitalizing on the strength and the power of the movement, albeit potentially temporary, is incredibly valuable for bringing, especially on our side. I was trying to think of like a broader term, but creators, BIPOC creators, elevating them to presumably a level of just dessert that allows for the appropriate amount of attention to be had past that kind of peak of attention, removing the very nature of ignorance itself, right? Is like you can't know what you don't know. It's very difficult for a lot of people to recognize they maybe haven't been paying enough attention to marginalized creators, to undervalued creators. And when you don't do it, you don't even know that you're not doing it in a lot of cases. This is changing a lot of that. And I think that in tandem with lifting up, promoting, and creating exposure for Black creators, for people of color, is incredibly valuable for keeping the attention going after the drop-off on the trending subject that may happen because of the nature of social media, because of the nature of attention spans and whatnot. It was really important, in my perspective, to do everything that we can in this particular moment to lift that, to rise, have that rising tide,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. Keeping the conversation going is very, very important. Sadly, there isn't really a shortage of injustices for us to be mad about in regards to Black lives, right? So there's a lot of work to do. And we've come nowhere near scratching the surface even. So
yeah,
it's just it's everyone's responsibility to keep the conversation alive.
Yeah, and I think streamers get a lot of criticism for not speaking out about injustices and political issues, right? Like notorious for focusing more on, dogpiling someone who said something very obviously, trolly versus like, speaking out about real issues. And I think this is one of the first time where as a collective, like, creators have been very adamant about speaking out and calling people that have been silent on this issue, and we have a question from Grid that kind of leads into this. Grid asks, I've been avoiding the subject on my own channel because I feel like no matter what I say is the wrong answer. How do I handle subjects involving current world events, like when people ask about that kind of stuff? How have you guys talked about this on your stream?
I don't think I had too much choice in the matter.
I have definitely. And I've also dealt with a lot of people who are like, I don't know, who are asking this kind of same question. in regards to their family members and their workplace and all those sorts of things. And I think the best thing you can do, especially as a white person, is just to listen, right? Learn the vocabulary, learn the issues, educate yourself. It's also not the Black community's responsibility to teach you how to be a better person, so learn the vocabulary, watch things on YouTube, read books, just really try to put in the time. And through that, you will gain the confidence. And if anybody ever needs any type of good recommendations on things to listen to, I'm happy to help with that. I'm sure anyone here would be happy to help with that as well.
Yeah. I think like the best thing to do is obviously like, don't try to explain something that you don't fully understand. Like, I don't think anyone's going to fault you if you don't understand enough about the issue to comment on it. I think that does a lot more harm than good. So, honestly, the best thing that you can do is to be honest about what you don't know, what you don't understand. Like, I think it's very easy for most people to admit, like, okay, you can make a statement, Black Lives Matter, you believe in the protests, like you see the injustices, but you don't know enough to really provide any more context than that. So let your audience know, like, I'm still trying to educate myself on this. I'm still doing my own learning and unlearning. And I wish I had more to say, but hey, check out these resources. What are you actually doing, and point people in a direction where they can further their education.
That's exactly what I would do too, is going like, in the case of DJ being right here and DJ being really well-spoken and outspoken, and having like a really, wise and also eloquent presentations of the information, I can easily say, I'm too dumb to comment about this. I can tell you where to go. Mm-hmm. Go check out this stream. Go follow this person on Twitter. Go, like, just redirecting that to people who actually know what the hell they're talking about, because I might not. And it's a very dangerous thing to try and speak up when you don't, when you're uncomfortable. It can be iffy because, like, maybe through your anxiety you may misspeak. That's problematic. But when you actually don't know, or when you aren't comfortable in your knowledge, push people in the direction of wise voices.
I feel like if you're going to talk about a subject, one, everything they just said, get informed about what you're talking about if you're not informed yet, until you can kind of recite from an understanding, not from memory, like from understanding. That to me is step one. A lot of people want to speak from memory, and it's like, oh, I read this thing that says exactly this. I was like, that's fine and dandy, but anybody can Google and recite a thing that they read. Understand the problem. Once you can understand the problem, talking about it is your choice. Mm-hmm. In your stream. That's completely cool. Like, I know a lot of people have been like going ham on people, like, all right, people who aren't talking about this are the people you need to worry about. I can understand that perspective, but to steal a line from my amazing partner, Epic Lala Girl, she likes to live on a thing called dual perspective. Understand both sides of the argument. So she'll talk to people who are literally exact polar opposite of what her opinion is on a thing, to understand not only their viewpoint, how they got to that viewpoint. When you can understand the person on the other side of the argument, it makes it so much easier for you to pinpoint a thing that, okay, this would probably help you to understand my perspective on it, if they're open to getting that understanding. So understand what we're talking about, understand the issue at hand. Once you understand it, if you don't want to talk about it, that's understandable, because not like, if you're not wanting to talk about it because you know that you can't explain it properly, hand off you to other people who can. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then when they reply to them, then you can learn from their response. Yeah. And then get multiple sources. Like, I know many people of color and many allies who are like, look, anybody who's silent on this right now, unfollowing, unsubscribing. And it's like, mm-hmm. You don't know how somebody's internal processing is happening. Mm-hmm. You don't know if they are trying to figure out the right way to say it. You don't know if Grid's question of how do you handle subjects like this when people ask you stuff about current world events. that question, in my opinion, belies that you want to understand and you want to speak on it, but you don't know how you're going to be perceived, which I feel like a lot of the people who are quiet right now are in the same kind of boat. So don't judge somebody for remaining silent on this because they may want to understand. You may not want to talk about it because you don't. Learn and then send people to where the discussion is happening.
So
that's how I would answer that.
There's another component in there too, one that I had to deal with a long time ago, and it's had resurgences in a number of areas over time. Is initially this was with when I was getting my philosophy degree, when it came to matters of feminism and social justice. People can both be effectively on the same side, on the same line, like two different feminists with completely different perspectives on how a particular issue within it should be treated. And for me on the outside, I'm like, wait, which one do I pick? Which one's the right one? Because there's not, like a universal perspective on which thing is right. That can be conflicting for a lot of people where they're like, well, I need people who know to hand me the information so that I have something to say with a little bit of authority, because I can go like, well, everybody in this group of thinking, they all say the same thing. That could be a real big issue that prevents a lot of people from speaking because they're confused on whether or not they're going to get shot down for misspeaking. Which side do they which perspective should they take? My recommendation is definitely to hear out and suss out the different perspectives. Try and really understand why they exist, and make some kind of a choice for yourself, and know why you're making that choice, why it is that you side with the one or the other. And allow all of them to exist at once. Because you pick one doesn't mean the other one's wrong. It may be that one maybe better serves your particular thinking or some other philosophical perspective that you have, but you shouldn't pick one and like denigrate the other. Just shoot that other one down, and people who believe in that thing are wrong and bad. Everything can have a roughly equal validity, but you can pick one thing and sort of run with it and be open to the alternatives.
For sure. It's like what DJ was saying earlier about making sure you're speaking from understanding.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, yes, understanding, not just reciting something back, but actually knowing why it is that you are holding that particular position.
Okay, so I have a question for you guys then. So do you feel that influencers with a platform have an obligation to make some sort of statement, even if it's super basic, or even if it's to say, I don't know enough yet to comment? Is there an obligation for people with a platform to speak out? Because, for example, you have all these companies on Twitter that have made a statement. Some of them have felt very hollow. Some have been very actionable. But most companies have said something, and if they haven't, they've gotten flack for it. So where do you guys stand on that with streamers?
Since there's silence, I'll talk on it. It seems like everybody's like, I don't know.
I've got a lot of opinions.
I'm not one to give anybody flack for not talking about a thing that is uncomfortable. And it kind of goes back to what I was talking about a little bit earlier, is that not everybody is comfortable because they may not understand how they feel.
Yeah.
If you don't understand how you feel about it, now mind you, it's very easy, and I feel like it's a simple fact of like all lives matter, of course, but like people like to put that in response to Black Lives Matter, and it's like, my dude, nobody ever said that all lives didn't matter. It's just that we're having an issue right now. Can you get on page with us? Makes sense that people would try that, but they're trying to do that to break off from the subject. Those are people who are coming into this with a disrespectful viewpoint of it. They're trying to change the argument. They're trying to it very easily turns into whataboutism. Like, what about my life? And I love the fiery house analogy of like, there's a house on fire.
I saw that.
Firefighters show up.
Yeah.
They're putting the hose to the house to put it out. And somebody, like a neighbor, walks up and they're like,
but what about my house?
Dude, your house is fine. This house is on fire. We got to focus our work on this one. So anybody who's counter to that, I feel like don't pay attention to that. If you are one of those people, why? Yeah. Really? Why? Like, why? What's the point? Like, why are you trying to troll? Like let your balls drop. You are no longer a child. Don't do it. It's
and are you
mind-boggling.
sure you're allowed to be on the iPad this late?
Right, like your mom said you should be in bed right now. Like you have a curfew. This is no electronic time. Get out of here. Go change your diaper. But once you've gone beyond, like if you're not in that frame of mind, like if you want to speak on it, I'm not knocking anybody for not, but it's like shit, man, or excuse me, frick, man, people don't want to talk about a subject that is so polarizing. This is literally a very polarizing issue. The brands that aren't talking about it, they may not have people of color on their staff, so they may not know the right phrasing that wouldn't get them even more flack for coming out and talking and then speaking out of their butt cheeks. Like, that's not the move you want to make. You have to have a reference to help you frame it and at least talk about it in the right fashion. Like Ben and Jerry's, I feel like came out and destroyed any company's possibilities of ever even talking on it. Every company should basically copy everything that Ben and Jerry said and say, look, Ben and Jerry said it better than we could. You should go check that out. We support this. But if you don't understand it, don't say anything. Yearn to understand.
Yearn to learn.
Right. Like if you're not learning, you're not living. I was an educator. I spent like 7 years teaching at a collegiate level. So I know how to help break things down fairly easily. Not everybody does. Not everybody understands it. And you can't get mad at people for not. I could talk about this all day, so I'm just going to shut up.
Right.
Like, you can't get mad at someone for not talking about it.
I get that. I think I just get mad because I feel like people say that as a cop out. Like, oh, I don't know about it. And they don't actually like make an effort to learn about it because it is an important issue. It's privileged to not take the time to learn and like not be bothered by it. Right. Like, so that's what gets me. I feel like a lot of people aren't saying anything to because they don't know well enough, but I feel like there's definitely people that are in a privileged position that don't have to learn about it.
And there's a difference between silence and quiet, right? DJ, we were talking about this the other day on our Flagship Friday stream. Quiet is, is I think a very important thing for people to do right now, like myself, people within a very easy and comfortable, just given privilege. Right. I didn't earn an ounce of it. It just showed up. It was just here. And it's really important for me and people in similar positions to have quiet so that they can listen and try to assimilate and synthesize the information in order to have, not necessarily in order to have some degree of comfort in speaking out, but to gain some wisdom from the people who actually have it. But I do think that that's different from silence. I think silence is a problematic position to take, and it's a choiceful one that has damaging consequences. As community leaders, I think it is vitally important to take that responsibility where it actually stands, which is really heckin' high. And that can include, and I think is maybe even possibly more important for a lot of people to take that take that seriously by saying, hey, as a community leader, I want you to know I don't feel well versed on this. I don't feel comfortable telling you what I think because it's just not fully formed. I think that's where your base level has to be. And then again, pointing to people who do have the wisdom, pointing to people who do have the perspectives that you're listening to and saying like, I feel like this is important. This gets to what I'm feeling, but I don't really know how to, eloquently speak on this. So I'm going to let somebody else who knows their stuff do that work. They're doing it. They're already doing it. They're out there doing that work. Listen to them do the thing. I have ignorance. I'm trying to refine it. That can be part of your statement. That can be part of quiet without being silent.
Absolutely. And, this ties into Michael Critt's question, who asks, what do you all think about, streamers who choose not to talk about politics because, they themselves welcome it because everything is political. So what do you think about streams that are just, focused on not being political?
Glam, what you got?
Oh, no, I mean, that's kind of grouped into everything we're talking about. I would say, with the previous question, I think of like individual content creators as very different than the companies putting out their messages on Twitter. I kind of like separate those two things.
Okay.
I don't, it's, like what Hunter said, I don't think it's necessarily, people should be responsible with their words. So like everybody is saying, I obviously agree. I think if you are not, you don't feel comfortable expressing that is a very, very good idea. And, maybe passing off to people who are more comfortable, obviously is a much better solution. And I really do appreciate the comparison between quiet and silence.
Sure.
Companies, however, companies, I could probably be a little harsher on, I feel like. You're talking about groups of people and not just individuals is a little bit of a different scenario, in my opinion. And I think they should be held more accountable.
Why?
Because they're representing people, they're leading it. We are tasked with potentially selling their product or putting their products in front of other people. To me, there's a greater voice of responsibility for me personally, also as a creator who may potentially represent one of them, to know where they stand, and their silence could make me feel uncomfortable.
For sure.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
I think also they have a chance to enact change within their company, right? Like
absolutely.
Infinity Ward trying to, be more strict about that. I think Smite as well, like some companies are coming out and, saying that they're gonna actually care now, which is, the second best time, I guess, to stand up to racism.
I mean, there's a weird situation with that too, right? Which is that, especially within our industry, a lot of the people who are running these companies are as young or younger than us. And this may be the first time that some of them are having to confront serious issues of justice, equity, equality, right? And it's entirely possible, if not, totally plausible, that a lot of them also, just like many of us anywhere, don't know exactly how to confront and address it. Even though Glam, like you were saying, it may be more important for them to take the stand, they're not necessarily more equipped to do it. So it's like a weird kind of spot where I feel like the same kind of response would be equally fitting for a company to say, we're taking this time to really listen because we also don't know. We don't have answers. We're trying to suss out where this wisdom is and what we should do and think. So we're taking the time to do exactly that. In the meantime, here's some actionable stuff we'd like to do, so you can hold us accountable and we can hold ourselves accountable and actually learn and redistribute that information.
Yeah, I mean, to me that's like super frustrating, just because like this is not a new problem and people have been yelling about this for a long time.
This
like
didn't just show up.
Like I have been harassed since I was like 15 on Xbox Live, like, so this is not a new thing. And like it's been to the point where I've talked about this issue on stream with games that stand behind freedom of speech. Like we don't want to like rock the boat, because there's a lot of people that like to say like racist things all the time because it makes them really happy for some reason, so like, and Twitch as well. Like, there's been a lot of creators that have been very vocal about harassment on Twitch. And like, it's just one of those things where it's like, this is not a new situation. Like, I guess I'm glad they're listening now, but like, this has been rampant on games forever, and like they've just chosen to not do enough.
Mm-hmm. Companies also have the entire platform as a resource. There's literally, thousands of people here on Twitch dying to work with them in whatever capacity. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like they don't have the resources to learn or ask or reach out or expand or become more or less diverse or whatever the hell it is they want their goals to be. The opportunities have been there for them since the start. So,
oh, that's certainly true. Yeah.
It's just a little frustrating to try and, I don't know. Ooh. I don't know. I just feel like they should always be trying to do more for the community as a whole,
Yeah. I fully support the idea of I appreciate hearing that like companies, we probably should have expected companies to speak on this forever ago. I agree with that. Like companies, if you have a product that humans use, you should probably care about every group of humans that could use your product. So this is a basic thing of like, people shouldn't be being brutalized by police. We stand behind that. Yeah, like obviously. So it is amazing to see so many companies come out, but I feel like I'm blown away more by the gaming community in this aspect, because the amount of gaming companies that came out quickly with force, like, no, we are behind this entire issue. Anybody who isn't is wild. Like Bungie came out hard and was like, look, we are donating. Here's 3 different places that you can donate to help this cause. We are not only donating money to the cause, we're also backing and matching all of our employees' donations to the cause.
Yeah.
Like they came in and was like, look, we don't care. This is an important thing, and we're going to support the idea of it. And it's like, that is the kind of company that is guaranteed to be doing well very soon. Like Ben and Jerry's, right? Like Ben and Jerry's, like I've loved Ben and Jerry's forever. I'm on a low carb diet. I can't even eat Ben and Jerry's, but now I'm like about to go get like 3 tubs that I'm not gonna eat because they came out hard. Like look at it.
Ben
right?
and Jerry's
Lego.
has to in the past. They've
been well, and they're also
saying things.
They're hippies. I mean,
yeah, they've been supporting these for a long time,
since before any of us were born. You know, that's old school stuff.
Yeah, and it's awesome to see companies come forward wildly supportive, because especially if it's a company I'm already supporting, like, yes, let's get it. It's nice, and I love the companies that have already been supportive, and I'm just like, look, we've been here, but seriously, this is the thing that you should be paying attention to, and that is step 1.
Well, you know, and interestingly, in addition to that, I think it's important for brands, which includes us and anybody else, to consider that it's entirely fair for this to be your first step.
Yep.
Because next year and 5 years from now, when this is invariably an unresolved issue, at that point, you will have been doing it.
Mm-hmm.
If today is your first day, if this is your first step into that realm, it will be the moment where in the future you get to point back and go like, oh, that was the awakening. That was when I realized, you know, the significance of having this voice, this platform, the intensity with which I could speak to real issues and have been acting on it. And you can see this, like I know this for myself because of that. This can be that first step.
True.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and then to what point does like being silent become, inexcusable? Like this is not an issue that's going to go away overnight. Like there's going to be, unfortunately, like more devastating fatalities, as we try to dismantle the systemic racism that plagues, our society. So this is not going to be the first time that we have this kind of like momentum. So where will you be the next time? Where will you stand? What will you do? Like, you may not be doing anything now. Maybe this is your time to learn, but will you be prepared for next time?
Yes.
True.
Yes.
True indeed.
I would say it 1,000 times, but we don't have that much.
Yeah, also there's not much time in the show.
That requires that quiet start that Hunter was talking about, though, right?
I think it really does. I think it's really important.
I agree. I think it is very important.
The number of times that I have had to learn to STFU so many times that now it's like my default stance in a lot of situations where I'm like, hold on, I need to not just think that I should speak my mind like I have all the wisdom in the world,
right.
And just listen first and go like, okay, yeah, that's the one. Oh no, I'm not so sure about. It's a good starting place. It's quiet, not silence, quiet.
Yeah. I think we had a question in chat. Cherish asked, what can companies do to live up to the promise of being anti-racist? And like, we wanted to talk about like streaming platforms specifically, like what are the next steps? What do we expect from Twitch, from a streaming platform to protect its creators and uplift their marginalized creators?
That's a good question.
It really is.
Who asked it?
Cherish, that _Cherish in chat.
All right.
I feel like step 1 in any company's goals that they're trying to support diversity. If your company as a whole is not representative of the country's percentages of people in communities. If your ethnicity of like if you're not covering all the ethnicities properly, you're not really a diverse company. Like that's literally step one. Black people are 13% of this country. If you really want to have diverse opinions, then you should probably have that 13% of your company representative of that. And I'm not saying like, oh, we got a diversity hire. Like that's trash. If you have to hire somebody specifically because of their background. But like the reason that all of these things exist for companies is because traditionally people of color, of all colors, like that are not like the one that's in the most charge, have a tendency to not be hired based on the fact that they are who they are, based on something that they had zero control over. That's the only thing that I hate about all of this. Like people dislike me because I'm black based on glancing at me. Like people, like women, like, oh, he's a big black dude. So like they pull their purse close and it's like, lady, I don't want your purse. I could probably buy everything in your purse right now. Get out my face. But like, it's, if your company is not representative of this country's actual representation, then why are you even talking on the subject? If you have one black person in a company of 1,300, do you really support diversity? Like,
right?
Do you really like? And it's not just black people. There are Black Americans, there are Asian Americans, there are Italian Americans. There are, like, we could list off ridiculous amounts of ethnicities, but when we look at the overall percentages of the United States, if you are not matching that, then you are not a diverse company. So you can't really be talking about how you're supporting diversity if you're not representing the company by representing the country. That's it.
Diverse perspectives are absolutely vital, in my opinion, for a number of reasons. But if you want, we were talking about like corporate responses and stuff. Corporations that are stumbling, brands and corporations that are stumbling over themselves trying to get the right message out and whatever, it's understandable for sure if you're like if you're primarily full of the privileged individuals. If you actually have a diverse group of individuals working with you, then they are everybody in that brand is intrinsically going to be, sharing their perspective on all matters oriented around that brand. You don't have to worry about making a misstep with your language, with your branding, with your marketing, with your products, whatever. You're automatically countering that by having the perspectives that are doing that work inherently. Sure. Just by virtue of being, they can inform the brand, this God entity out there. They can tell you where those problems may lie before, and in the development, in the research and development, in the rollout of products and services. That work can already get done. You don't have to worry about it after the fact, walking yourself backward.
No, I mean that's a really great point. Like, so what else can Twitch do? Like, what next steps are we, looking for Twitch to do? Like, obviously, internal hires is something that's more difficult for us to like track and monitor. Yeah, besides, certainly. Like, who we run into on Twitter and at TwitchCons, if those ever happen again. But like, what else? What else can Twitch do?
Man, I wasn't even thinking about specifically Twitch. I was just thinking about companies in general.
Oh yeah, no, that was a great answer. Like, I just want to bring it back to like the streaming part of things.
I understand. One, I had to say, having been to Twitch HQ a couple of different times, I've seen a massively diverse group of people at Twitch. Like, I feel like Twitch is already on kind of like the path of properly representing the country, but like, until I don't know the internal details of like how many people they hire, like what people's backgrounds are. That's personal stuff that you don't have to share on your applications and whatnot. But like, I've always seen a diverse group of people at Twitch, which has always been exciting to me.
So anything else? I don't know. Like, I guess Twitch is kind of changing the algorithm and like what creators are shown on their front page. Like, it used to be just like big streamers, and then like if you're a partner, you got some slots. But they're kind of like changing how that works, where there's like it's more based on each viewer and like what their viewing habits are. Like, I think like that is definitely an example of an area where Twitch could really bolster, their Black, people of color, marginalized groups, right? Like showcase them more, and not just when it's Black History Month. Like that, I think that would be a good step. Like making more of a conscious effort to have deals, like do sponsored deals and front page time, and promote special events.
That's an interesting idea too. Like, so what about like showcasing and working explicitly with, Black owned, Black centric companies themselves with branded deals and whatnot on Twitch proper? Like integrating that into part of, and obviously with other issues as well, integrating that directly into just brand operations.
Yeah. I mean, like the bounty board is one way that they could utilize that, right? Like they obviously do work to get deals onto that. It's not just people coming to them. So like that's one way that they could kind of make those connections. Anything else?
I mean, I don't really have a lot of commentary on, what Twitch could be doing better. I mean, I don't know. I feel like I don't see a lot of diversity in the front page carousel very often. But that being said, discoverability is a big sore subject for everybody on the platform as well. So
true.
I don't know if I'd be the right person to speak to, to hold Twitch accountable for what they should do. But I would, of course, back up any suggestions. There's obviously a lot of work that they could be doing because things are pretty messed up as they are now.
Yeah, I think like one of the things that I've noticed is like the way like the username system, like, and how people can make really abusive usernames like en masse, and I feel like there's not been enough done on that front. Like and I know like particularly like from like that I've heard is like from Black creators that they get a lot of target harassment just through usernames and people having bad usernames. Like I feel like that's something at the very basic level that they should have some better moderation, because like, I mean, who hasn't seen like really terrible usernames? It's like, well, how is that not even like how can you not even filter that like at the creation step, right? And then like being able to like just come in with like tens and dozens of accounts like with like terrible names.
They're definitely
I've had that on multiple occasions actually.
Yeah, I'm sure there's definitely some obvious things they could be filtering out. But in the long run, their point of view is probably something like, oh, well, where does that battle end? Like a troll is always going to find his way around a filter in some way.
I mean, yeah, but you make it harder. Better. Yeah.
Yeah. Just keep doing it.
Right. It's
just
always
constantly have someone there updating it with current events, right?
Yeah.
Like when this is happening, why is somebody not updated? Here's what's trending on Twitter. Update the damn filters. That kind of action could definitely happen.
Yeah. And I also feel like on that same kind of token, I feel like if they have enough information based off what people like to put in their banned word filter, to start with that.
Yeah.
But
it's easy.
Right. They already have the data. Like I've heard of an account called Knees on Black's Necks. That is what we're talking about when we're talking about these usernames that are trash, that shouldn't even remotely be able to be created. But people are wild, right? Like people are like trying to be edgelords. And that's why earlier I made the joke of like the balls haven't dropped, because I feel like no adult, like, and realistically, it's not, I say that it may be asshole-ish of me, but I don't see people that aren't teenagers trying to be edgelords actually doing this, and it makes no sense why you would do it in the first place. But like,
I was trying to figure out what you're apologizing for there. You mean like for being ageist?
No, like I was gonna say like, I was gonna say I don't see women doing that.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I would
No,
say like
and again,
most
that-
trolls are like teenage boys, right? Like
right.
it's a
So like you expect
Whether
like a
it's
13,
teenage
14-year-old like with no say again?
That's nothing. I was just adding on.
It's like you wouldn't the people who are doing this, I feel like, are either 13 or 14-year-old boys who have nothing to do. Like we actually were streaming the other day, and then people came in because I've been having hashtag Black Lives Matter in my stream title since the death of George Floyd. Because come on, obviously Black Lives Matter. But like people come in like hashtag All Lives Matter, and it's just like they weren't ready for like how we responded because we basically made a joke of it. I made a valid point to what they were doing. Like they were like tons of people spamming it. And I was like, hey, I don't know if you get this, but your being here, your presence, your spamming this actually brings us up higher in the director and helps us to get more people to right. Like
Thank you for
more
those
people.
stats.
Right. Appreciate you. More people are actually going to be donating to the campaign because you're douchebags. And then to put the nail in the coffin, our community literally started to donate because of their hatred. So the second I made that point, they stopped and they were just like, ooh, we're gone. Like get something in regards to what they like to call a life. Gather your life and fix it. But I'm used to trolls, right? But that's the kind of thing that exists. Like there should be a filter on being able to create a name
right.
that is that blatantly disrespectful and hateful. And I love the fact that I believe it came out a while back, that bans now are like full like IP bans and like shadow bans. Like I have been dying for a shadow ban for years. I would love the idea of being able to ban somebody and they don't know.
Best.
So they're just like spewing their vitriol in chat. They see their chat, nobody else does.
Avoid.
Right? It's like, here, let me just, man. It's like, oh, here's your baby mad in the corner, blah, blah, blah. And then nobody sees it. It's, to me, that is the best thing. I'm still sad that it isn't true. Like, but I feel like they did say that like once you're banned in a stream, like any other things you do from that IP address don't show up as well, which I'm excited about.
Yeah, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Did we talk about feedback to Twitch, like having like effectively focus groups from marginalized
Twitch
groups?
Safety Council? Great idea. Let's do it.
I don't think that was my recommendation. Right, but having like if you have I mean presumably voluntary members from different groups like self-identified and have a representative who's or really ultimately a group within Twitch whose like whole intention, and this may well actually be true because there's so much that goes on behind the scenes at Twitch that we don't know about. Where what they do is they meet up with them on the regular, revisit, and get feedback about what they can do with the site, with the platform, with addressing issues that those particular groups are seeing that may be invisible to everybody else.
I think you just described, I'm like unironically, you just described the purpose of the Safety Council was like to get people from different groups. I think your idea is better.
Members from different groups. I want to see the different groups themselves like discrete sets.
Oh yeah, no, I think your idea would be way more effective, way more balanced. But yeah, I think like their idea with creating that Safety Council was to address like harassment on the platform and picking the brains from different groups.
Hunter wants it more like an Illuminati approach, or more like diversity. Illuminati.
Big fan.
Yes.
Which I think makes more sense rather than having those people in the public eye.
Yeah, like one representative from a group that's on a council can only do so much. That is a single perspective, and by its very nature is prone to flaw, which is why in many cases we're so much better as groups. In other cases, we're way worse as groups, but still.
I actually have another idea to throw out there. And so, there have been creators, like including myself, that have like taken the time to educate their audience about what's happening, raising money, raising awareness. Maybe one of the things that Twitch could do is like when, something like this is going on, to maybe promote creators that are talking about this issue. Like Twitch.
Yeah, sure.
Twitch saying something is one thing, but Twitch has a platform of streamers, of influencers. Like, why not elevate those people that are, like with Cypher and what she did, like elevate those streams, put them on the front page, let people know like, hey, like this person, like you want to learn more about this. Like here's some creators of ours that are, doing this sort of thing and raising money.
Yeah, I mean, the issue that shows up there is, again, with the individual perspectives, you never know when one of those individuals may misstep on something.
That's fair, yeah.
And then you've, opened them up to effectively be a representative of your company, which I think is actually great in a lot of circumstances. Is like, yes, put real human beings as real representatives of a brand that is composed of real flesh and blood people, with flesh and blood people streaming on it and content creators, being indicative of very real issues and real perspectives and voices.
Yeah, no, I think that's definitely a good point. Graham, what's up?
Nothing. I completely agree. I think that's it right there. Succinct.
Pretty much. You just got to agree with that. And it's awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah. People representing the people.
Enough said.
Let's go.
GG no re.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, I do understand like the danger of what you're saying, Hunter. Like, I could see that going poorly. I don't know. Maybe if it's just like, I don't know, like putting them on the front page without saying anything. Like, I don't know. Maybe there's some sort of balance where they're not like, they're not like endorsing them, but they're like, just promoting them more, like getting more eyes on that content, right? Like.
I mean, that's the weird thing is sometimes the quiet move is the smarter move, but you always run the risk of being accused of virtue signaling, of throwing it out. Like, because when you point to it, it's like, hey, this week, this month, we're going to be doing some specific thing that has, optics repercussions. Not saying what you're doing, but doing it anyway can be like a way better move, but it's problematic that you don't end up getting any recognition for actually doing something really good and really helpful.
I like how like this was supposed to be like a general Q&A and we just hyper focused on like I mean there's a lot to unravel here, like especially when we just like even just focusing on what we're doing in our platform, like with Twitch and like being streamers and having a lot of responsibility. Like, it's a very unique situation to be in. Like, you can go through Twitter and like go through everyone you follow, and what are you going to check to see if they've said something? Like, no, right? Like most people, the onus to actually respond or to make a statement is non-existent. But for us who have a following, who have, people who listen to us, I feel like there is that extra responsibility to be knowledgeable, right? And I think Hunter, you said this well earlier, streamers are community leaders, right? Like, and it's one of the many hats that us streamers wear, right? It's not just our train of thought just going out into the world, but what we say has repercussions. This is why you see like clips of streamers get blown up on Twitter, because it's very much like you have people watching you and your words will be held against you. So I think it's important, even more so as a streamer, to learn about this, to be careful about like what you say, especially if you don't know what you're talking about, but also make that conscious effort and realize your responsibility. Like you have a voice, you should use it for good, and realize people look up to you.
Everything you say can and will be used against you in the court of public opinion.
I was hoping you would say public opinion, because that's literally it.
Yeah.
I do see that we have a question from Grid. I'm gonna kind of gloss over it really quickly because I feel like it's freezing. Adorkly Rini has already touched on, like, you think Twitch views its affiliates as second-class citizens, where we get whatever features whenever, but Twitch doesn't listen to us as much as they listen to their partners. And I feel like that's an unfair leveling or phrasing, because there's so many affiliates, and even still there's tons of partners. Twitch can't listen to all of its partners.
Yeah, I was about to say you're making an assumption that they listen to us.
Right. Like I've been asking for shadow bans for years.
Yeah.
So like that doesn't necessarily mean that they're not listening. It's just that when you have, I think there's hundreds of thousands of affiliates at this point.
Yep.
When you have hundreds of thousands of voices, you have to kind of figure out the thing that would help all of them, or many of them, or more of them, because they're a platform. Think about it. There's tens of thousands of streams live at any given minute of the day. To get affiliate, you just have to stream like 8 days a month and have a cumulative amount of hours. And then like once you do that, like you don't, it doesn't matter as much. Like there's stupid amounts of affiliates, and that's not me saying like in a bad way, just that there's a massive amount of affiliates, and there's no like dedicated single form that people can fill out to say, hey, I want this specific, this is the area that I'm looking forward to talking about. This is the specific thing I want to talk about. There's no drop down. There's no anything like that. So for them to collate the data to give people what they need is wild. Like they would need multiple staff positions just to like look through the messages and figure out the things that people want. And realistically, Twitch is doing that. Philly's been getting more emotes. They've been getting more stuff. Like when I got partnered, there was no such thing as affiliate. So I can't speak to the affiliate experience, but I can speak to the partner experience. And like, there's tons of stuff that partners want that we don't have. So like, Twitch is a major company. They're going to make decisions based on the information that they have that is easily obtainable, or with the teams that they have in place to go and look for things that can better benefit the people who are partnered on their platform. They're going to make moves as a company because there are millions of people that are part of everything on Twitch. So generalizations are really difficult to even remotely respond to. And since we're not at Twitch, everything that I just said is full conjecture and could be complete bullshit. So like nobody knows, but like it makes sense that like they can't just make moves because like 10 affiliates want this thing. Like let's send our team of coders to go into the base code of Twitch to make that thing for 10 people. Like, we don't know the data they're getting, so we can't make assumptions on how they're making their decisions and how they're basically classing citizens of groups of people. Like there's too many people talking, so there's no way to get the right answer, at least from the outside. So we can't talk on that.
And to the second part of your question, Grid, the part about talking about discoverability basically being at the bottom, I don't think there is a single creator on all of Twitch that is happy with discoverability on the platform. It doesn't matter if you're 0 to 25, or if you're 100 to 300, or if you're 1,000 to 5,000. Everybody's got a gripe about how discoverability works on Twitch. So
I think it's getting better for sure. I mean, I've talked about it extensively. Like it's becoming more habit based versus just straight up viewer count. Like they're kind of moving away from the viewer count thing. So it's getting better. And also, sorry, I just wanted to add really quick. In terms of feedback, Twitch does have a user voice site. That's their official like place. So if you have like feedback, suggestions, you can upvote or add your own ideas. There's a lot in there. So feel free to utilize that. That's one way that you can provide feedback. They also have a general feedback email. It's feedback@twitch.tv. I literally looked this up by Googling it. Not to say that are you going to be heard? I don't know. But if you want to try, that's the way to do it. Those are the official channels.
I completely forgot about that user voice. Thank you for the reminder of it. And I'm going to have to go look up the email to check it out, see what's there.
The thing I've noticed about recommended for you is that it recommends me people that I already follow. That's a weird thing. Like, I've actually subbed to 4 of these 5 people that you recommended me to. Hey, thanks a lot, Twitch.
So
but at least they understand what you like.
Yeah, because they are nailing it.
I had to guess. It's probably this channel you spent 11 hours in this week.
That I've known for 5 years.
It makes sense though, right? Like if they know those people that you follow, a lot of people that would come to this, like legitimately, there's a term in design called above the fold. Above the fold is like if you get a regular newspaper and it folds down, people generally do not scroll down to look for somebody that they want to go see on Twitch. That's just a rule of web design. Like that's no matter where you go, no matter what website you go to. That's why Google put their search bar in the middle of the page and nothing else on that page, because people aren't going to go down if they don't have to. Like the first 5 options in the Google search, right, the first 3 really are the ones that are going to get clicks. So they might be recommending you people that you follow because they may not be at the top of your following list. So that could be part of that. And that's just, again, conjecture, because I understand how the cake is made when it comes to web design.
How they make the sausage.
Yep. How the sausage is made. Delicious, delicious sausage.
One thing we didn't get to cover today was DMCA, but Loco.
It's gonna come up right after this. Yeah, so actually Noah, my lawyer friend who has been making waves on the internet right now with some of his clips from what he's talked about earlier on DJ Wheat's show, he's gonna be on Your Brand Your Business right after this with Ernest, who is a tax accountant, and they are going to be discussing DMCA. So if you guys are interested in that subject, I know a lot of you guys are coming in here waiting for that. That's literally going to happen within the next few minutes. So don't go anywhere. That's right after this show. Any questions that you guys might have? What?
Get it right from the lawyer's mouth.
Yeah. That's
so weird. That's my lawyer.
That's the saying, right?
Same. I think he's a lawyer.
And my accountant.
Yeah.
He's got Twitch on lock. Look.
He does.
Streamer, here's my card.
He's so he'll be joining Ernest on the show after this. So don't go anywhere. That'll be right after this. But before we take off for the day, I want to, if you guys have like any closing thoughts about what we've talked about today, any last any last words, guys, before we do our shout outs, the take home message.
You guys are awesome. Thanks for coming to hang out.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for joining us.
And thanks, DJ, for sharing all that stuff. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Oh, no worries. For me, that's a lot of this is life experience. So like, I can talk about that all day. But without an amazing community to talk to, this show wouldn't be what it is. So thank you all that are watching.
Awesome. So let's actually go to our shout out page so we can shout out you guys properly. Glam will go right to left. Where are you? Who are you? What are you doing?
I'm GlamShatterskull. I am a streamer on Twitch. You can find me at twitch.tv/GlamShatterskull. We play a lot of fantasy games. We do a lot of Warhammer. We like evil fantasy things. Identify as a space warlock. Please come hang out with me. I love you, and I can't wait to hang out with you and listen to some face melting metal with you. Thank you.
Some copyright friendly face melting metal, I'm sure.
Face melting metal, I like it.
Maybe we'll just get struck and be done.
Just get him out of here.
Later.
You'll see Glam on Mixer starting next month.
Yo, got it.
DJ, what about you?
Hi, I'm DeejayKnight. I'm a full-time space sci-fi and variety broadcaster here on Twitch. I stream a lot of Star Citizen, so if you're not a fan of going into space and playing around in a game that has moons that are, I feel like you could fit all of the Far Cry games into a crater on a moon in Star Citizen, and that's just one of the moons, and there are many. But it's also not done. So there's a lot of alpha gameplay that happens in my channel. There's a lot of weirdness. I'm a huge proponent for STEM, so I've been obsessed with like scrap mechanic and dying to get back into it. But life is good. Be excellent to one another. If you want to come hang out and hear weird stuff, twitch.tv/DeejayKnight.
Awesome. Hunter, what about you?
My PC's broken.
Oh.
I'll stream again someday. I am the Hunter Wild co-owner of Streamer Square alongside the brilliant and amazing Loco. Honored to always be in her presence in,
oh my
in
God.
her orbit.
Stop it.
And an absolute joy to do these shows and to work with both her and Rini. I stream a lot of stuff when my PC works. You can swing on by twitch.tv/thehunterwild. You can follow me on Twitter at @thehunterwildtv. Got the TV at the end. I go off. It's a good spot. What about you, Loco?
I stream at twitch.tv/loco sometimes, I guess, here and there. No, I usually stream Monday through Friday. We talk about streaming, we talk about the industry, we talk about gaming news, stuff like that. And then sometimes we play games when there are games to be played. I co-host this, so if you guys enjoy this content, we actually do now 6 weekly shows, Monday through Wednesday. So if you guys are looking to learn a little bit more about streaming or even moderation or hot topics, we got it all here on the channel. So make sure to hit the follow button and come back. But don't go anywhere because we're going to be talking about DMCAs. I know a lot of people have a lot of questions, a lot of confusion. Hopefully our next show can clear some of that out for you guys. So thank you all for tuning in. Just stay tuned. Your brand, your business starts in just a few minutes. We'll see ya next week.
Bye, internet.
Be awesome.